Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Silverlining Brain Injury Charity's May 2026 mid-month meeting. Welcome back, Jack and Leon, on your third talk. So we're really grateful that you're here. Your first talk was about focusing on having a customer mindset. Then we learned about managing personal risk. And today we're going to focus on walking the line between independence versus overdependence. Really interesting topics. So thank you so much. Welcome.
No worries at all. Thanks, Louine. Um, it's lovely to be back. And actually, lots of new faces, I think, compared to last time, which is great. I'm Leon. Um, I'm a sort of teacher and coach working with a variety of different people. So, from young people with special educational needs and disabilities to young adults and older adults. And yeah, generally helping people become a little bit more independent through building a toolbox of skills, I guess. And I've been working with Jack for quite a while now. We came up with five steps coaching because Jack will tell you a little bit about um, himself and where five steps kind of came from.
So, by trade, I'm a mental capacity assessor, and often I'm asked to swan into someone's life very quickly and make a judgment about them. And so, that judgment is usually on whether they have the ability to make a particular decision or not. And often, when I see someone, it's very hard to tell the difference between inexperience and an inability to make a decision. And so I often think that my job is quite unfair to a person if they haven't had a chance to be supported to understand or deal with certain situations. And so I approached Leon as a coach and as a teacher, and I said, what can we do about this? And together we came up with five steps. And so this is our effort to try and show people um, what we do for a living, but also what they can do for themselves to improve their lot if they come across someone like me making a judgment about them. Hopefully that makes some sense. But Leon,
I think I was running away there, Jack,
I
but
did. I thought you were leaving me.
I, I was letting out a whining dog. So I thought it might put us all off a little bit.
Yeah,
Um, so I think with mine and Jack's last couple of sessions, generally what happens is Jack and I uh, tell stories about our own sort of things that we do and difficulties maybe that we get into. And we try and relate it back just to how that works for other people and that we're not all perfect. There are lots of things we can work on. Um, and Jack and I were talking about this earlier today. We've been planning this session for a little while, and we took a bit of a left turn because my car broke down this week, which was a bit of a nightmare. Um, and so I didn't really know what to do at all. And Jack, as you know, my dad is a mechanic,
great mechanic.
fantastic mechanic. Unfortunately, I've not inherited any of his mechanical skills. So when I was calling rescuemycar.com on when was it? Thursday, sat at a busy T junction with people getting kind of cross because I was in the way. I was at a total loss as to what to do. Which I'm fairly calm and confident, and I feel competent in my professional life and other areas of my life, but cars I do not. Um, and what it kind of occurred to me that everyone says, yeah, but your dad's a mechanic. Surely you can fix it. And unfortunately, it's not the case. Mainly because I've never had to do any mechanics because my dad is a mechanic. And he swoops in. He's done this from the age of 17. I'm 45 now. And he's done this from the moment I've had a car, which just sort of magically appeared, and it magically gets fixed, and my cars never go wrong, and I never have to go to a garage, and I never really have to fix anything. I can change a wheel. I can change a wheel, definitely. But Jack and I thought this led quite nicely into our session today about independence versus over dependence. Jack, where do you think I fall on the scale of independence and over dependence with regards to my car?
You have been a lazy person, and
Sorry?
you have relied on your dad so much over decades that you have become helpless, and you've let him help you, as any dad would want. This is the thing: close relatives, friends, they want to help, and they want to help all the time. But sometimes that help can turn into, well, maybe it's called the help trap. We should call it the help trap, maybe,
Yeah,
where
sounds about right.
maybe you become a little useless when you should have kind of stepped up yourself, gained some experience, and especially where it counts in an emergency when you've been caught out. Um, a similar thing with me over the pandemic when we were on lockdowns and my car needed a service. And I had a gentleman round the corner from me in his 80s who taught me how to service my car. And I went from being pretty useless with cars to now I do my own servicing. But it was uncomfortable and I wasn't confident. I didn't really want to do it, but I had to do it. I'm not good at laying on my back underneath cars with oil kind of spilling everywhere, but I can do it now. I can do it. But it took a little bit of discomfort to get used to the idea. But you've taken the very comfortable route, Leon, I'm afraid.
I've, yeah, I guess I've neither been curious about cars and how they work, and I've never really thought about how this might impact me, uh, as my dad is actually looking at retiring. So at this point, I'm pretty stuck.
Mm. But what are you going to do next? Are you going to change anything that you do?
Um, well, I am, but I've also thought about, right, okay, I can't learn everything.
Mm.
I can't become a mechanic, not with my time constraints, with a family, with a job, etc. But I can learn a little bit more, I think. I think I can learn how to service a car.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
can you put your hand in your hip pocket and for service it costs hundreds of pounds? If it hits your bank account, can you pay it?
Good
Well,
point.
that's a good motivator, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
maybe what my dad should have done I don't like the way that Jack said I've been reliant on him for decades. It makes it makes it sound like I'm 100. And I'm not. But I that's such a good point, isn't it? Like it's quite an expensive what my dad could do is say, no, you need to take it to the garage. And when I get an eye-watering bill,
Yeah,
I think it might motivate me a little bit more to learn a
I
bit.
think that was my point, really,
Yeah.
to be honest. But having said that, years ago, I did a basic mechanics course, just a few nights a week. And I've forgotten all of it. So I couldn't tell you how to change a wheel or anything. So,
But that's a very good point to lead into what we're going to say next, because you can learn something, but then to retain that knowledge, that skill, and that experience, you have to practice it. So you have to do it a
yeah,
lot. And
that's
so
true.
I think the point that when we're talking about treading a careful line between relying on someone and seeking out our own independence, it's really, it can relate to any aspect of life, really. And so often when I'm doing my work, I'll go and see someone, and they could be from a range of different backgrounds. But in particular, if I think about brain injury background, it could be someone who for many, many years has had a lot of really loving, dedicated people around them. And so they may have needed that support at some point, but often by the time I come to see them, I have to ask questions like, well, why do you need this level of support? And often what I find is that, well, it's convenient. It's what we've always done. And then when I have to talk to someone about their ability to do something else or adapt to a crisis or make a particular decision, often they lack confidence, first of all, knowledge and experience. And so I think today, the kernel or the essence of what we want to get to is, can you identify where you need help and then go and get it? Because that's leading your own life. That's some leadership. Understanding where you might have a weakness, but also, are there any areas of your life where, like Leon, you've conveniently allowed your dad to do quite a lot for you until the moment where you've discovered that you've learned some helplessness there. Would that be right? Have I framed that the right way, Leon?
I think so. And at this moment, I've got a skills gap. Am I going to do anything about it? Potentially. But at the moment, I've still got, I got the car recovered to my dad's and he's fixed it again. So I'm back on the road and I've kind of learned nothing. So I'm back in this situation where I think if it goes wrong again, I am going to be back to square one.
But
So
there are.
why? Sorry,
No, go
I
ahead.
just going to say, why don't you do what I did, which is I've thought the woman is in me. Most people don't think women can do anything practical like that, and so I thought I'll go and do a brief mechanics course just to give me some ideas. Try that.
I think that'd be brilliant. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
What spurred you on into doing it? Was it a similar situation to mine, or did you just identify, oh, actually, I don't really know how to do this?
Well, because I've been married a couple of times, and the first husband, he was all very good at cars, but I didn't learn anything of him, and I needed to know how to do it. So that's the motivation was for that. I just need to know some basics, basically.
So I think, Leon, you might be being a bit hard on yourself. I'm definitely being quite hard on you because it's fun. But is there a possibility that your reliance on your dad might be healthy reliance? So the speaker a moment ago said about doing a course or recognizing that the costs of a service are expensive. But what are the pros? What are the advantages of relying on your father?
It's free.
Totally. And Jack knows me very well. I won't put my hand in my pocket for anything. No, it's so um yeah, it's free. It's more convenient than a garage because my dad will shift things around and fix it for me. So I'm back on the road as soon as possible. I don't have to do any scheduling. Sometimes, I mean, this paints an awful picture of me as the self-centered son. Sometimes he'll even deliver it back to my house fixed, and I will, I'll offer a cup of tea or something and some fun chit chat. But he's doing it out of the goodness of his heart, and I am just accepting all this help
Well,
very readily.
I'm going to play devil's advocate because I think the reliance on your father is healthy.
You.
One, you've said
Okay.
it's cost effective. Okay, but
Yeah.
that's not necessarily the most important thing. The second thing is, it sounds like he can turn something round pretty quick, deliver it to your house, so it is convenient. That is an advantage. Thirdly, and I think this is probably one of the most important things, is trust. So you may feel guilty sometimes thinking that you're taking advantage of your relationship because he's a great mechanic. But one of the things that we all need to think about is if we go to someone for help, is it someone that we can trust? Is it someone that won't overstep their mark and become too involved? Maybe sell you a service that you don't need, maybe tell you that's wrong with your car that may not be wrong. I think it's a healthy reliance. I think you've been caught out, but I think if we can all think of something that we can't do, whether it's car repairs, whether it's something in the house, it might be banking, making a financial decision, making a judgment. Hopefully, we can all think of someone that we would rather help us and that we can trust. And often, I think most importantly, with trust, you trust them to speak the truth to you. So you might be quite determined on a certain thing, but will you listen to reason? I don't listen to reason when certain people argue with me or tell me I'm wrong, but there are certain people that I will stop, listen, behave myself. And I often think that if you find or you recognize a weakness in yourself and what you do, it's not always about finding the kindest person to help. It's about finding the person that you trust to be honest with you. And so I expect we can all think of examples like that. But do you think is that fair of me to say that your reliance on your dad is healthy? Or do you disagree with what I said?
No, no, not at all. And I would take that further, and I'd put myself in my dad's shoes and say, why is he helping me?
Hmm.
Because he knows I'm mechanically useless, and he doesn't want me sitting at the side of the road,
Yeah.
with a broken car. So he's doing it because that is for my benefit and my welfare, essentially. And that's
In
carried on since I was 17.
in my line of work, you would
Yeah,
call that he's acting in your best interests.
yeah.
He's putting you first, and that's why you trust him.
Yeah.
Could, could he have done differently though, Jack? Like over the years, I mean, we're in a pattern, aren't we? Me and my
Mm,
dad. And
mm,
we had, like you said, for decades, we have been.
yeah,
So he
yeah,
probably still sees me as a 17-year-old with a car.
yeah,
He doesn't know what he's doing.
yeah.
But I'm 45. I do have a car, but I still don't really know what I'm doing.
So there's probably that compromise area, isn't there, where you might not be able to fix something that's really technical, but you can have degrees. Should your dad have told you how to change the washer fluid? I bet you can do that.
I think I can.
Yeah.
Even
What
I
about
couldn't
change?
do that.
Yeah. But when you get to things like changing the oil, changing filters, now because I've had the benefit of someone teaching me that, what I found was, crikey, I didn't realize this was so easy. Maybe your dad could have left you to be a bit more independent, do you think?
Think he probably could have. I think there are certain smaller jobs on the car where he could have said, right, you need to order this part, and it
Mm,
literally screws off the old one and you screw on the new one.
yeah.
Like maybe changing a headlight,
Mm,
something like that.
yeah.
Something at entry level that meets
Well,
my kind of understanding.
Yeah.
The thing is, did you show any interest in these things? How to do that?
That's a very good question. And if I'm really honest, probably not. I think I was probably more concerned about going off to see my friends or doing something else rather than listening and learning about the car. He may well have in my younger years tried to get through to me, and I might have been a little bit, no, it's all right. You do it.
Well, that's the easy way out, isn't it?
Really is.
Because as you grow up, you learn to do things differently, don't you?
Totally. But
More.
unfortunately, I've not in this situation. I've been very fortunate to have an active working dad who's still healthy and very, very willing to help me with my car. Um, so I haven't got out of this pattern.
Mm.
So I would say, although it's healthy because I trust my dad, we've got a good relationship, all the things Jack said, I am definitely over reliant on my dad for my car.
So next question then is if your dad gets his mechanics to do that to repair your car, my question is, do you offer to pay the mechanics time or not?
Well, he doesn't actually, he works on his own. He's a sole trader, so he works on his own. And this is making me out to be an awful person. I do not offer a penny because I've never had to. And it still happens.
Well,
Well,
I think we need to flip the script over now, because
Okay.
in your scenario, Leon, you're a person who's easily asking for help. There's no issue there. You've got no problem going to your dad and saying, do you know what, I'm going to be cheeky and I'm going to be over reliant. I'm going to let him help me, even though maybe I know I can help myself. What about any moments? I believe that everyone has this at one time in their life, no matter what their situation is. Sometimes it's hard to ask for help when you need it because it feels like you're giving away control, and it might feel like you're giving away independence. And I think that's often a total mistake. I think sometimes the opposite is true. In my work, if I'm sent to do a capacity assessment with someone and they have carefully identified and got used to the idea that they need help in certain areas, and they themselves have decided I'm choosing this person to help me, or I'm choosing this way to overcome that weakness. When I do my job, I think the first thing I think to myself is this person knows themselves, they know what they're doing, they know where they need help, and so they're often really safe to make their own decision. I can think of so many times in my life, probably because I've been in a really arrogant mood, where I've needed help and I haven't asked for it. And I haven't realized that going and getting and choosing how I get help, that is me taking control. Does that does that sound right to you, Leon?
So yeah, I definitely think so. And I think I'm trying to think how I would approach that myself. And I think relating that to what you just said, Jack, that is one thing that comes up quite a lot with quite a lot of the coaching that I do.
Mm,
Um, I think I'm fortunate in that I know how I could resolve this if I wanted to, but unfortunately I am in a pattern where it just gets done.
mm,
Um, but I do work with a lot of people who really do want to uh, become a little bit more independent.
mhm.
They struggle to because they struggle to ask for help.
is
Understood.
that because your pride gets in the way?
Mm.
I
asking for help?
maybe yeah, it might be a little bit of that. At this point in my life, I'm pretty busy, so this is like the quickest path from A to B, broken car to fixed car. Cool,
Mhm.
dad, get it fixed, and then I'm back working again. I can pick up my kids, I can do everything. So that's more the motivator these days. And I think when I was younger, I was probably just a bit more selfish, and I would probably just other things to do, basically.
Because the bottom line is time is money, isn't it, for you?
Yeah.
But what about if we were to think about someone who needs help with certain aspects of everyday life? So that might be just getting up in the morning. It might be using a kitchen. It might be someone who's with disabilities, without disabilities. And I think sometimes, rather than thinking as asking for help or needing help as a thing where you lose control, I often think about film directors. So you've got someone who's in the driving seat making a film, but they cannot do it alone. But they are the ones telling the story. So if you think of your life as a story and you think, right, well, I've got a vision, I've got plans, I've got aspirations of where I want my life to go. Who do I want my crew members to be? So you might think of it like that. You know, if you think about being the director in your own life, you might need an assistant director. You might need, I don't know, a casting director. So that might be someone choosing carers or support workers around you. So often, what I see are people that have had people put into place for them because they may have lacked confidence or the assertiveness to say, well, actually, I only want this much help. I see it all the time where you might have an expert come out in from the outside and say, you need a lot of help with this. But in reality, you might think, well, can we start off trying a little bit of help and then go from there? And that's coming back to that line between, am I over reliant or do I have a healthy reliance? So have I got the right balance of independence and help? So I think that's how I think of it as a director, a movie director. Who do I need who are my experts that I can rely on? Am I going to be able to listen and trust the opinions of those experts as well? So that comes back to that trust thing. I don't know if that's a rubbish analogy, Leon, or whether that works from your end as a coach.
I think it does. I think it does. And I think there something I think we can both agree on, Jack, is that we see people a lot of the time who who have they've got a lot in place for them, and it's been put in place at a particular time
Mm,
when they were most at need,
mm, mm,
potentially. Um, and I will relate this if I work with young people who are leaving care, perhaps in and transitioning into adulthood, into supported living or independent living. When they were younger, a lot of them have had a lot of support, all very well-meaning in terms of help, like doing their finances, paying their bills, and they've not had the opportunity necessarily to do those things for themselves. Setting
mm,
budgets, that's been done by someone else. You get
mm,
£10 a week, for example, you can spend it on whatever you want. And then I'm not saying this is in every case, but in some cases, a young person will then move into supported or independent living, and suddenly they have to do it all for themselves.
mm, mm,
And they are really, really stuck. And, they might get themselves into debt. They won't understand how to budget. They won't understand how to pay bills. They don't understand getting house insurance or having to pay council tax,
mm,
etc., because they've had so much done for them. This is a really extreme example because they've had so much done for them for a long time, and then suddenly they've got no help. And they, to your point, they've not been able to transition through there and sort of pick their team, so to speak, or the areas, because they don't really know what those areas are, which they need to fix. So they've gone from being really over reliant on a group of people to having no real support, and they struggle.
I think something that you've said to me before is that if someone has self-awareness, so if you're able to reflect on who you are, how you do things, and where your limitations might be, the first step you can say, where do I need help? And then maybe the next step might be, how much help do I need? And whoever you go and get that help from, do they know where you want to set those limits? And that's the thing. So self-awareness perhaps means that you can say, do you know what? I'm no good at a particular judgment. So myself, my judgment is absolutely out the window when it comes to buying clothes. So all my clothes are really oversized. And I think my wife spends a lot of the time just giving me sideways glances about the things that I wear. So often I'll say to her, give me a hand here, what should I, but she knows there's a limit. She's not going to tell me what to wear, but she might help me with sizes, something like that. But that's a bad example of just recognizing where you might have that need, and then the extent how much you need help, because it's very easy for someone to come in and take over. They'll be well-meaning, but taking over means you fall into Leon's problem of becoming gradually more useless. It almost has, the more help you get that you don't need, it runs the risk of shrinking your ability and shrinking your confidence. Is that a fair thing to say, do you think?
I think so. I think is useless a bit harsh for me.
You're not used. I'm not coming to you to fix my car, Leon. Anyway, that's.
No, that's true. You're not. Yeah, you're not asking me to do it.
I'll have your dad's number
But
though.
yeah, um, but you're right. The more that gets done for you, the less independence you might have. And
Oh,
that's not to say you don't have a brilliant life. It might be
Mm,
fantastic. You can go and do all the things you want to do because everyone around you is doing all those bits for you.
mm,
However, as that support might shrink, or certain people who are really good at certain things might move out of your life, it might
mm.
leave you then having to do things for yourself, which um, for some people can be really quite difficult
Yeah.
because they've never been shown. So it is coming back to the car analogy of me having to fix my entire car,
Can
whereas
I,
actually I could fix bits of it.
if I tell you something from a mental capacity assessment I have done? So I went to see a young man in his mid-30s, and I had to assess his ability to make decisions about managing his money every day. So that would be weekly, monthly expenditure and things like that. And when I came to talk to him about balancing income and expenditure, we spoke about necessities like groceries, shopping, paying electricity bills, and things like that. And when I asked him, roughly as a ballpark figure, how much do you think you spend every week on your groceries? And he said, I don't know. And he was a very intelligent guy, very intelligent guy. I said, well, why don't you know? He says, because it's always been done for me since my injury. And he had his injury in his late teens. And so the problem I had was that I'm in front of someone who's a really clever guy, and I have no idea whether he can make a decision because of inexperience or because of his brain injury. Because I can't read minds, and I have to go on the evidence that's in front of me. And what was in front of me was the guy that can't do his grocery shopping because someone had done it for him for many years. So what I ended up doing in that case was going back later, and I said to him, please, please, please start doing your own grocery shopping, even if it's just an online shop where your analyzing the cost of things. You're looking at the bottom line on the total bill, doing the transaction. It's very easy to let people do things for you, because while other people are doing things for you, you might be on the PS5 in his case, playing Fortnite. And then the other thing is, when I spoke to him about his aspirations, where he saw himself in 5-10 years' time, he was really clear on that. And it was being more independent, living life on his own terms. So sometimes also over-reliance means that your dreams and your aspirations kind of get derailed a bit, and you don't necessarily recognize it until someone like me comes along and says, are you not doing it because you're unable to do it, or are you not doing it because it's convenient not to do it? You've let people, well-meaning people, are stepping in and helping you, and it's shrinking your abilities and possibly shrinking your confidence. But that's just one example. But it's an everyday life example. We'll all have different areas of where we accept help. So that's one side of the coin as well.
I think that's a really interesting example, isn't it? Because that's something that I think we find quite a lot, isn't it? In both of the types of work we do, is where people just are in their groove of living life.
Yeah.
And it's, and it's great, and they're safe, happy, healthy. But ultimately, if they're not, if they're looking to gain capacity or get a judgment that deems them as having capacity through someone like you, Jack, it's really difficult to suddenly come up with examples and say, yeah, well, I know that. I know how to do that, because you're very firm but fair, but you will ask, give me some examples, exactly like you did with this gentleman. And it's very, very difficult to decipher the inexperience versus the impacts of an injury.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. That seems, yeah, that's quite an interesting way of looking at it.
Another way of saying it is that if someone asks you a question and there's an obvious answer, like, if you spend £150 on groceries every week, and you pay with with notes of 160, you can do the calculation and tell me the change. But can you show me what you've been doing? So a test in an interview is very different to actually walking the walk. And so often I'll be with someone who'll say all the right things, but when it comes down to it, and I ask about their life and I talk to the people in their life, I often get a picture of dependency. Whereas the person, in their intellectual abilities are good, but sometimes it might be because they don't initiate certain tasks, or don't get round to doing it, and they let other people step in. So yeah, that's what I would call over dependence. But then there's, again, like we said earlier, there's healthy dependence as well. And I think that's where someone looks like they're making great decisions about themselves and in their own best interests, when they can say, do you know what, I can't do the grocery shopping, this is who I have to help me, and this is how much I can be involved. So it's still being involved in something, even though you're being helped with it. And that shows to me, as a capacity assessor, this is a thinking person. This is someone that's involved with the root of their own life, whether it's every minute or every day, every year. And so there's that's the main issue of our talk today. It's, where is that line between healthy dependency and over dependency? And I'm just wondering,
Sorry, go for it.
I'm just wondering if anyone's got any examples from the room. Can anyone think of something that they need help with, or that they accept help with, that maybe they can do a little bit more themselves? I don't know. I know about you and your mechanics, Leon.
Well,
There's more areas, Jack.
I've had recent strokes, and I can't drive anymore because of it. But my daughter is being very kind, and she's offering to do my food shopping, but first of all, she says she'll just come and pick me up. No, sorry, that's wrong. She'll say she'll take me shopping, but then when I go, I don't have enough time. So she gets my shopping, and then she buys the wrong things, and it's obviously I thank her, but it isn't working very well.
Is it early days?
Well, I had a few strokes in November, so it's not quite early, I suppose.
Well, I think it's a big change, isn't it? That kind of reliance.
Yeah, but I've wondered. One day I got a taxi to the supermarket, but then I got a few bits just to get in the supermarket, just to give myself some choice, and then it's cost me an arm and a leg to get a taxi there and back. So when the taxi wasn't there, I finished shopping. I got in a panic because I was worried about it.
Yeah. Do you think that you found a limit there? Do you think you found a limit to your own ability to cope with a certain situation?
I don't know really. The ideal thing would be to do online shopping, wouldn't it? But my daughter will tell me off for buying the wrong thing, or so it's not worth it.
Well, we all get to make mistakes. I mean, buying wrong things, my goodness, there's a whole wake behind me of buying the wrong things. But that might be an example where your daughter is highly vigilant because of the injuries that you suffered, and she may be getting a little over involved if she's involving herself in what you should buy in the shop. You bought the wrong thing.
Yeah,
And that might be that line that you might want to shift back slightly and say, do you know what? Let me make some mistakes, as long as they're minor and they're not going to have a big impact. And it's like building a boundary in the right way, because she's your daughter, she loves you, but there
yeah,
might be just that boundary that you can move slightly and say, sometimes I'm going to buy the wrong things, but I'd still love your help driving me to the supermarket. And the other thing is, what forgive me if I've got the wrong impression, but it sounds like when you got the taxi, you were having a go at doing it yourself,
yeah. Because I
which is
just wanted to go shopping as a free agent, not
yeah.
being told what to do.
Well, and you've tested your limits, and with that, you've what you're doing, you're providing yourself with evidence of your own abilities,
Yeah,
and that's good. As long as it's safe, that's really good. And
yeah,
it sounds like you've been able to make some decisions as a result of that. Whether you're going to I think it sounds like if you were in a pickle, like Leon was when his car broke down, you know that you've got an option there of using a taxi.
yeah,
And, maybe next time you'll remember what panicked you and see
yeah,
if you can overcome that problem next time. But that definitely sounds like a really great example of finding a new way or discovering where your line is, where your line of this is healthy dependency, but actually I don't want my daughter telling me that I've bought the wrong thing. Crikey.
exactly.
Yeah.
She blames me for my stroke on what I've been eating, but just stupid comment that is.
Yeah. Well, again, that could be a safety issue. The diet might be important, but again, it's choosing who you rely on for that kind of help. So
Yeah.
if I was in your position, I'd be thinking, what has my GP told me, or what has my neurologist told me about diet?
Yeah.
And again, you know, we've all got to take care of ourselves and act in our own best interests. But you know, sometimes you can have a treat, you know, and I'm not saying that from a clinical point of view, but you know, as long as you know the consequences of what you're doing, then it should be your decision. But and again, it's maybe putting people in the right boxes. This is what I mean about being a director in your own movie. It's
Yeah.
like, well, I need my daughter, but I only need her here, and I hope she understands that. But dietitian advice, you know, maybe that should come from an expert. But we should all take advice from people that we trust. We may reject it, but we should be able to hear it, and you know, and all the rest of it. But that's a really great example.
Well, it's hard to get feedback from people you trust, because when you ask them something, they have a go at wrong choices. So, you know, I just don't stop asking.
Yeah, I think one thing that I see a lot, especially with family members, and family members are often going to be the most useful, most present people when you need help. But sometimes family members find it harder to actually really listen to each other.
Yeah.
So often I'll go and do a capacity assessment, and I might have someone's mum or brother telling me about the person that I'm assessing and telling me where all their limitations are. And then when I go and see them and assess them, their limitations, there are no limitations. And so people around you that want to look after you and keep you safe often
Yeah.
aren't the best judges of your abilities.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
it's like when we try and judge ourselves. I went to try and pick glasses the other day. I can't choose glasses for myself. I look rubbish in all of them. So I have to get someone else to choose for me. I have to take advice.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering if anyone else has got any examples where they felt if they ask for help, they're giving away control or they're losing independence.
Can I
I
ask
think
a couple of
Julie's
bits?
got her hand up there.
Hi, Leon. Nice to see you.
Hi.
So, I know Leon from old. I used to be the administrator at the local college that worked with
Julie.
you. Yeah. So,
Activate.
yeah. So had a head injury a few years ago, and which has turned life upside down. So I'm no longer that administrator. I was very self-sufficient, very independent. My question is, how do I accept help when it's offered? Because I've been used to just doing it myself, and also there's some things that I want to do, which I know in terms of fatigue, etc. If someone takes me somewhere, that's great. Obviously, it's not that local, but I want them to then leave me to do my thing and then take me back home again. Sounds awful, doesn't it? I'm not that horrible, really.
I think you could have a general conversation with family or friends and explain how you just explained it to us. Do you think?
Sorry,
Yeah,
Anna, I thought you were going to say carry on there. Sorry, I interrupted you.
It's quite hard doing that. I think a lot of my friends, obviously family are long term, but a lot of my friends are long term. And they've known me for, I'm not going to say my age, but obviously Leon knows my age. So they've known me, some of them since sort of 16. And I present a very different person now in some ways. And I hate that I can't just get up and get in the car on a Saturday morning without thinking about pacing it and planning where I'm going. And if I park there, is it closer? Can I quiet time before I drive back? And yeah, it's still 5 years in. I'm still trying to understand who I am now. It's quite tough in that respect.
Yeah, sounds it.
It sounds, Julie, like you're very good at planning, though.
I used to be.
Mm-hmm.
not so much now with the head injury. I know things need doing and I can see they need doing, but there's a big break around physically doing things. So, for example, the housework, which is obviously the help that's been offered. But I'm in a situation where I'm quite embarrassed about how bad things are.
Right. Now, are you embarrassed about the housework that needs doing, or are you embarrassed about the broader picture?
No, it's you used to come to my house and it was nice. It wasn't perfectly clean, but it wasn't like no dust whatsoever. But now I feel my house is dusty and it's cluttered and there's paperwork everywhere. So it's not me. It doesn't feel like a nice environment to invite someone in.
And is there someone, if you could pick anyone, that you would trust not to judge you and come and help?
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, but that's
there's
lovely.
still yeah.
But what's holding you back?
Because I think I should be able to do it.
Well, give it a go.
And I think maybe it's, and Leon, I'll ask you to stop me if you disagree with anything here, but I think often if you've identified where you need help, which I think you probably have, and you've identified the feeling that is stopping you from asking for help, and then sometimes it's just about, as someone said just a moment ago, just give it a go and try. But if you are about to take a step and ask for help, it's often a good idea to think about what it looks like if you get a no or a disappointment. So it might be that, I mean, you've just said that all of your friends you would trust to not judge you and to step in and help where they could. But often reality is that you ask someone and it's like, well, I can't come today, I can come next week. And then you're tied to someone else's terms. So I always think when I'm about to ask someone, how am I going to feel if they can't do it? Or who's the next person? Or what might I have to compromise on? But it sounds like you've probably got the right people around you, but it's just that step.
It's more my stubborn-mindedness, I think, of, they're still looking at past and present.
Yeah, it's difficult, I should think. Definitely. But to me, you sound like someone who's really thoughtful and you have a thought process around it. So if I was coming to see you as a capacity assessor, I'd be saying, this person is weighing up all the right information here. The issue is initiating action. It's just deciding to take the brakes off and do it.
I explain it now as a bit how I imagine an ADHD brain jumps. So you see something and you think that, and then I think, oh, I just need to send that message, and then, oh, I want to see that on the TV, and then I've missed doing the original thing, let alone sending the message, and then I can't remember who I was going to message or what day I was thinking about to write in my diary. So it kind of like it's like ping, 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 and then nothing gets done.
So in my life, a list works very well.
Yeah, I use lists and whiteboards.
Yes, okay.
Excellent.
Loads of them. When I remember to write them down. Well, I maintain a sense of humour. That is really a big plus to life, actually. Use a sense of humour. That's that one really helps.
There's also there's one more thing to say on it that might be relevant. It wouldn't be relevant in all cases, but often when you see the whole problem, you think, I've got to go and get the whole solution. There's sometimes a small change to start with gets you on the right road. So it might be that if it's a housework issue and there's someone local to you who you don't know, but maybe a professional cleaner, maybe just that 1 hour a week, it might be the one thing that you find difficult in the house, and that 1 hour a week, whatever the charge might be, hopefully, if you can afford it, just beginning to solve the problem incrementally, bit by bit. And that easy start might just make you think, I can just get on with this. Now I've started, what's the next thing? So,
and there is that getting it to a level, and then I pick it up and I run with it.
That's it. Yeah. Starting off small is absolutely fine. And the other thing about starting off small is you'll gradually get to that level and you think, I'm okay here. I haven't gone in with too much help, but I've built up slowly and I can stop here. This is the amount of help I need.
Yeah.
But easier said than done, I should think, isn't it?
Yeah, it is knowing how you were. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And not being so pig-headed.
You know the other thing, don't you? The Roma wasn't built in a day.
Yes.
Start in a small way and then build from there.
That's it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
That's pretty much everything we wanted to cover, wasn't it, Jack?
I think so. I think
It's a really big topic, isn't it?
It is big, and again, in my mind, if we take just that last example about keeping a house straight and thinking of yourself as the director, that scene in your movie, Julie, is you're picturing a cleaner house, and then you need to decide, well, how do I achieve that? Who do I need? What help do I need? So it's kind of, it's thinking about what you want, either in that moment or where you see yourself in 5 years' time. Deciding who can support you to get there, when and how you need their support. Not too much support. Sometimes you've got to know how much so that it doesn't shrink your confidence. Also, trust them, because you need someone to be able to challenge your judgment sometimes. Not too much. But yeah, I don't know if that works for everyone else. Like thinking as a director of your own movie, and but there we are. That's the best I can come up with.
It's a good idea.
Great.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jack and Leon. That was superb as usual.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Great.
Not at all. And of course, thank you from Sherry. Apologies she couldn't stay, but she's very grateful for the talk. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.